Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's my pleasure to be here as a moderator. My name is Hanif. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you, and we appreciate for your Sunday evening off to come here to visit us. Now we would like to start our program with recitation of the Quran. For the recitation of Quran, I would like to invite on the stage to Muhammad Iman. Please, Muhammad Iman, come to the stage.
Sorry, please.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون.
Thank you very much, Imam. Now I would like to invite you to Farah Nabila, who is one of our first students participating since 2018. And she has been consistent in attending all the programs in classes, and she has achieved many things in last 4 years, including completing digital literacy programs. I would like to invite Farah Nabila on the stage, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Farah Nabila. It is very nice to meet you all, and I'm so honored to be here with you. First, I wish peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to thank Elom Initiative for letting me to share my story. I am 30 years old girl from a Myanmar Muslim refugee family living in Malaysia. My parents came to Malaysia in 2005. That was the time I didn't exist in the war yet. Funny, a little funny. I was born in 2009 in Malaysia and raised in Malaysia. I don't know exactly how my parents came to Malaysia, but I can imagine it was a very difficult and deadliest journey because every Muslim has to select an illegal way to flee. Luckily, I was born in Malaysia. That's why I had no encountered that horrible experience of fleeing. Alhamdulillah, thanks to Allah, my childhood is pretty good and happy as I'm growing up in Malaysia. I believe Malaysians is help and kind people. I always thank the Malaysian people and the government for letting us live here and giving us support. I feel lucky to be in Malaysia, and I love Malaysia as many refugees like this country and the people. I started to go to school since I was 5 years old. I love learning, and I have many friends in the school to play with. I'm very happy when I learn new things, and I will keep myself in learning environments. But some of my friends become housewives in very young age due to their situation. I feel very sad to see their difficult life. My father fights again everything and struggle against the social problem to keep us safe and to keep us in school. My father tells us that's the time to live peacefully with our parents, the time we have to fun with our friends and learn to prepare for our future, the time we are free to fly as high as the sky, and the time we have to find our essence of the existence of life. But some younger like me become wives and mothers against their wish. I was so sad when I see them. They lost their freedom and rights and become dependent on others. It's because of the lack of education in our society. We need to be educated enough to understand and choose between right and wrong. Education is very essential for everyone because it is the only way that we can differentiate between human beings and animals. Education is important because it allows our brains to think and increases knowledge. Learning is the right of every child. Depriving education is human rights abuse. As the teacher, Mr. Sujadin says, education is not only a right but the duty of every Muslim male and female. I have requests for every parent, please give your children a chance to learn, especially your daughters. Keep your daughters in your arms with love. That's what every daughter deserves, because children are the gift from God. Our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that the best gift from a father to his children is education and good upbringing, and also said that seeking knowledge is obligatory for every Muslim. Our religion Islam encourages us to seek knowledge. Our life should be a learning journey from grave to cradle, so we can live in meaningful life. That's why I keep learning, and I always encourage my friends and people I knew to do the same. In 2018, I found a place called Elom. At first, I don't understand what Elom means. The word Elom is a word in Rohingya language, which adopt from the Arabic word Elim. It means knowledge, understanding, wisdom, and perceptions. That's an amazingly suitable name for this place. The Elom Initiative and the Elom Community Center gave something to the refugee children. It is the knowledge that they call Elom. They help people by giving knowledge that could improve an entire civilization. They are doing the holy job for children by teaching without any profit. That's why they are the holy person who are deserved to call teachers. I joined the center in 2018. I learned basic computer trainings and basic English. Unfortunately, in 2020, classes were closed because of the coronavirus outbreak. But the teachers' immense contribution was not stopped. They still help us to learn through online classes. Now they are here to help us and teach us again, because they believe that education is the only thing that increases when given away. Therefore, I'm here again to continue learning, and I request all parents to send your children to learn as much as they can so they can achieve their goals. I thank all of us and Elom Initiative founders and teacher, Mr. Sujadin and Miss Pauline. Thank you, and I appreciate all of your sacrifice efforts. Your willingness to be extra helpful did not go unnoticed. I'll thank you for I had the opportunity to see what a love of learning feels like. I'm so grateful for impacts you had on me through these years. I'll never forget it. I wish may Allah bless you and accept all of your good deeds. Ameen. Thank you so much everyone for listening.
Thank you very much, Farah Nabila, for your powerful speech. Now I would like to introduce you Muhammad Arif, who is one of our students and who is also a volunteer since the very beginning of this center. And he was part of the team who helped us to set up the community center in 2018. I would like to invite Muhammad Arif on the stage to share his story with you. Please, Muhammad Arif.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Muhammad Arif. I am a Rohingya. I was born and lived in Arkan, my country, until I was 13 years old. In 2015, I had to leave my country, my hometown and my family at the age of 13. As we were kept in prison-like condition in our village. We were not allowed to leave our village. Police, military, and local Buddhist people always come to our village with gun and with knife. We were very scared. 3 years before I left, in 2012, many Rohingya people were killed all over the country. Many villages in our town were also burned by the Buddhist people. I was only 10 years old. They attacked our village too. I knew some of those people. They were our family friends. We saw them all the time. They all came to kill us and burn our houses. Many times, our people also go out to defend our village from the attack. Our life has become very hard and in the village. One day a man told me he can help me go to another country. I told him I had no money, but he said, I will not have to pay any money. I believed him and left with him. He later held me at the hostage for my family to pay him. Only then I came to know they were human traffickers. After I came here, I wanted to study, but they are not opportunity. So I worked in the market as a waiter. 2 years later, I heard Elom Community Center is opening a school for refugees. I thank Elom for the opportunity to learn and show me that I can be a useful person in society. I study here and volunteer here as well. I also invite other people to study here. I would like to invite all of you to join us as well. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Muhammad Arif, for your inspiring story. To conclude our program, I would like to invite Mr. Shujauddin Karimuddin on the stage. Please, Mr. Shujauddin.
Thank you, Hanif. Wow, after listening to this young man, I got a bit emotional. It is emotional moment. As Arif was saying, 10 years old, experiencing violence, a genocide, and had to leave family at 13 years old, and it is emotional time. The reason I get very emotional when as he was speaking is because one of the reason I started this program with the Friends of Others is people like Arif, who has inspired me to do this. It was 2016 with another friend of mine. We came to do some research in Kuala Lumpur in 2016, December 2016 actually. And Malaysian love soccer. There was the soccer match, like one of those European club match. And these two, a lot of people were watching, and I participated in that. And there was two young boys who were fighting, and nobody to stop them. In fact, people were actually watching the game as though they were, one of those boxing matches happening. I intervened. I went up and I stopped them. Long story short, later on I realized they were actually two boys from my hometown, from Choctaw. And then I further asked them the questions, and I realized I know their parents too. And then I told them, I'm here in Malaysia, I'm new, would you like to help me out to go out and do some shopping with me? They did. The next day I picked them up in my car, we went to the Mines shopping center. We spent the day, shoppings and watching movies and going to food court and stuff like that. At the evening when I drop them off and I give them a hug, these two young men, every time I say this story is fresh to me. These two young boys were crying like somebody just passed away, as though they were crying for a little love, as though they were crying for a little care that I had tried to give them. They hugged me tight and screamed without voice, basically saying, we have no one to hug us as we leave. These are the hundreds of thousands of young children who are often kidnapped by human traffickers and brought here, blackmail their families. I can see some heads are nodding, and of course you know these stories. Blackmail their families to sell their farms and their belongings to pay for the ransoms to release them here in Malaysia, only to be found in a very few years or months, arrested, often in prisons, or often in refugee camps or detention camps and deportations, because UNHCR never catch up coming on their rescues, and I can go on their miseries. And Arif was one of the boy that I met when he was only 16 or 16, I think, and he was already here almost 3 years. This young boy was washing dishes in the market, and as I saw him, he was actually running because the Malaysian operasi were regular checkups, arresting illegal immigrants. 16-year-old, 15-year-old boy, every moment living in that fear. Now let me say this. I'm not blaming here. I'm not here to say anything about Malaysia or the system. This is our fate, unfortunately. Malaysia does not recognize refugees. Their convention is as such, that the laws as such. We have nothing to say about this. In fact, we are very grateful, myself and other people, as Farah Nabila just said, Malaysia has given us house, some safety, some opportunity. Some people still can go to school. Like Farah Nabila is a talented woman, talented young girl. It's a wrong word to say woman because she's grown up now. She was a little girl when I first met her. And there's a lot of inspirational girls like herself were married off or for many circumstances, or even sometime run away, or you know all the stories. And these are the future of human society. These are the people of this greater human society. And this is the reason we have opened this center, to nurture those talented women like Farah Nabila. Farah Nabila is an amazing, bright girl. We know she's bright, and her father sacrifices everything they have for the girls and for his children. And really, a round of applause for him, because he go against every challenges you can imagine to educate his children best school possible, even though they are refugees. Not a lot of schools accept refugees in Malaysia. He does. He finds his ways and brings up these young, fine young girls. And I'm really proud of you as well, Farah Nabila. Your speech was amazing. Touched my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not prepare a speech. I just wanted to say hello and thanks. And I wasn't really prepared for this emotional talk either. However, I wanted to say this. This center like this, I don't think ever exists in Malaysia for refugees. I don't know, for some other communities might have had. In a community base, in the grassroots level, connecting with the refugees is either none or rare, I must say. And I want to advocate for this. We need, in every area, we need places like this. Because I have seen, for a little effort that we put in for the last 4 years, is enormous changes. We have touched at least 170 children's lives in the last 4 years. We have served almost 2,200 something people. Hanif, if one of the, I was MC here, he was one of the first young men who started as a student and became a manager of the center, and became a pioneer in the community, basically, to serve the community. And they with Arif and with other volunteers, with Pauline, they collected data here that how many people we actually reached out in many different ways. It's over 2,000 people. And during COVID-19 pandemic, we successfully supported at least 700 families to give first aids and support and medical supports, and some also for the hospitalizations and things like that. And we, in our data collection, we realized 12 years ago, I was also involved in another data collection, and then 20 years before that as well. In 2001, we went down from city to city to collect how many Rohingyas here particularly. There was only 12,000 Rohingyas people in the whole of nation in 2001. Today, this estimation is about 200,000 Rohingyas. But now in this area, there's not only Rohingyas. The Rohingyas are 40% of the population that we have collected data. And if you look at other data in the workplace, it's about 20% actually on the workplace, because Rohingya women are often not in workplace mostly. Other Burmese Muslims and other women are also in workplace as well. However, these 200,000, some registered, majority some are not registered, are extremely vulnerable people. If you ask any Rohingya here or other Burmese Muslim as well, if you ask them, I did this study just before COVID-19, what is your plan in next 5 years? Often young people, they have no idea, because their future is so uncertain, so in limbo. They have no idea what they want to do or what they can do, in fact, or what they are allowed to do. This is the word. They ask me, what are we allowed to do? What do you want to do in the next 5 years? What are we allowed to do? And I would always say, maybe you could go to school, that. And secondly, they are so insecure within themselves. They don't know what to do in next few years. And the other thing, if you're asking people who came here as a teenager or young adult or even an adult, you ask, I want to go home. Without fail, everybody say that, I want to go home. Is that right? I want to go home. Where is home? Home is where they belong to. We are a people who are very connected with our land. You know, when we talk about our land, we almost nail down. When we talk about our land, we tear down our heart, like tear apart when we know that we can't go back home. And many of you can relate to that, maybe some of you are not. And I can relate to this. I mean, I can understand some of the Aboriginals of Australia talks about this. Some of Orang Asli here sometimes talks about this, about how connected they are with the land. And the moment they talk about it, I can relate to that. Because I know how difficult it is to be away from your land. And all of these people want to go back home one day. But, well, if or when they are allowed to go back, I would say when they are allowed to go back. If it's very uncertain word, I want to be a bit more certain than that uncertainty. When they are allowed to go back, it is our responsibility, in collective responsibility of the people and the governments and the regional organizations, UN, and we can name it many other international communities. It's our responsibility to prepare them, to equip them, to empower them with every necessary tools they need to rebuild their community and their society when they go back home. Because their society is completely destroyed. All of their mechanisms, you know, all of their social infrastructures are destroyed. Everything, all of their livelihoods are destroyed. They will need these skills to rebuild their life when they go back home. And also they will need these skills to be contributing members, to be helpful members, to be productive members of the society wherever they are in. We can talk about resettlement, for example, for many refugees here. You know, we did a calculation with some of our friends here before. At that time, average resettlement was happening around 250 people a year. If we are looking at 250 people a year, for 200,000 people, it will take 200 years to get resettled. 200 years, I'm talking about 7 generations. Is that how it's going along? That means 7 generations means we're going to have 1 million people in that 7 generations. It's never ending game, right? The only solution is for them to go home. Repatriation is the only solution so far. Because it's not that there are not enough space in the world, because there's not big enough hearts to accept refugees in the world. Everybody is trying to protect their own little things. And alhamdulillah, some people are still getting resettlement, which is almost the friction of the quota that resettlement is needed. Anyway, I would like to conclude. I have talked a lot much. But I would like to have a conversation if you want to ask any questions. And I would like to conclude again with this. Our effort is to empower the refugees so that they can go back one day. 3 things. 1, they can advocate for themselves. 2, they can create the pathway for them to go back through advocacy and through engagement with politics and dialogues and whatnot. Number 3, when they go back, they have enough skills and abilities to rebuild their society, their community again, and live decent human life. This is our intention, and we are playing the smallest part at Elom initiatives. We are doing this, and on the tables here as well, we are launching a fundraising campaign, online, crowdfunding campaign. That's it, a crowdfunding campaign to support the work that we are doing. Please take a flyer and scan the. Would you be able to hand it out, please, Farhan? It's on the table as well. And take a couple of flyers with you so that you can share with your friends and encourage them to do a bit of promotion as well, so that we can raise the fund. This is very small fund. We need about $100,000 a year for doing what we are trying to do. But so far we have about $15,000. So we are lacking about $85,000 that is needed to do what we want to do. So this fundraising is about $20,000 we're trying to raise, at least to keep some programs alive that we are running, like English classes. And as you can see, some of our efforts of English classes are like Arif. He didn't know even how to write his name in English when he came here and today I'm very proud of you, boy, for the beautiful speech. So anyway, anyone have anything, please? I will actually come down, have not standing on the lectern, it's a bit too formal, no? So yeah, anyone have any questions, anything you would like to know? I'll be very happy to answer. No questions? Yes? It seems like everybody understood very well, or they didn't understand nothing. Yeah,
my name is Ita Friuza from the Leader of Refugee in Malaysia. So I would like to ask you one question. Before you are supporting the hospitalized for the some people who need the urgent surgery or something. So now when I am facing the problem, so whatever you do, we are the same story. And I have when I arrive here, I'm also insecure. I don't know what should I do, what I do here. Why did I come here? Why I love my country? Because I love my country very much. So 4 years, 5 years after whatever I have seen the situation of our community society, refugee and migrant society, we have the very big problem to face off every what is called situation, everything. For example, they need to get the job, to get the children's education, and also help. And all the big things is very difficult to get the registration from UNHCR. Mostly is like ours, Myanmar Muslim community. But I don't want to say that I'm for all, because my father was a Rohingya, my mother from the belongs or whatever you want to call, so Pati or Myanmar Muslim, whatever. So both are my relatives. Yeah. So mostly people cannot allow to enter the inside of the UNHCR office if you are Myanmar Muslim. And also now, so they cannot allow to admit the hospital. Before I don't know all these things in the lockdown. And after the 5 years, I have to start again to teach the communities children. So I can, whatever I can support them, I give the only education for them, the refugee children. In the lockdown period, a lot of people face the difficulty to get their food, to get everything, whatever they need, the essential. So someone from the
Sorry, what is the question? I'm losing already.
Whatever you want to support. I have a lot of people who need the support. Both Myanmar Muslim and Rohingya people, they need the surgery. Somebody don't have any registration yet above the 12 years, stay in Malaysia. And they need the money to support for them. So to admit this hospital.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how can you?
How can I? Yeah. And this is how we're going to help. We raise. Thank you very much, Sister Feroza. Thank you. And this is the story we hear every day. This is a story of everybody, pretty much. Every family has someone registered, some are not registered, some has misregistered. So many problems. And there are medical problems. There are a human society. Every problem exists in any society. In refugee problem exists more than that, because of the trauma, because of other. You can talk about it, right? And last 4 years, in this area particularly, we are dealing with, said, about 2,000 people in regular basis. We have tens of problems that comes every time. So there are two things we could do. One thing is we can listen. Second thing is we can advise. There are very little things we can advise because, for example, UNHCR, we have no idea what UNHCR are doing. Because every time you talk to them, they tell you something, something else is happening. I have no idea what UNHCR's procedures are, their internal policies are, their challenges are. Often they put blames in something else. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they are going through, what their challenges are, because we also have a lot of challenges, you know. So the fact is, UNHCR is not doing what is need to be done, or it's just mandated to do. That is what I can say. For whatever reason, either they are not allowed to do, whether they have challenges, whether they have no funding, I have no idea what of that. They have neglected refugees registration even. I know people for 5 years still waiting for registration. 5 years. Which means these people have been jailed just even only yesterday. There was a young man who came here. He was imprisoned for 6 months as a refugee because he had no document to prove that he was a refugee. And he said at the time he was in prison, he said there were 600 other underage children with him. 600 other underage children. All of them were kidnapped by the human traffickers, like Arif was just said. All of them were. And none of these children had access to UNHCR for 3 years. So I have no answer for that. What we are doing, every time we're trying to, somebody come here, we invite them to join the classes, we're trying to teach them how to advocate for themselves, how to write to the UNHCR, which are the right channels to approach. We try to advise them. If not, we try to get advice from others. We refer them to other people like Asylum Access, for example. Asylum Access is the one, and other organizations like that to help some support. That's what we can do. In terms of aids, you know, we don't have money. I sleep in the couch for 2 years of a friend because I don't have money to pay rent. And so I can't pay somebody's rent. And I'm not exaggerating. Many people know I lived with a friend for 2 years on his couch before I went to Australia because of COVID-19. But what we do, often we contact other NGOs or AIDS organizations, maybe they can help at the time, and they do sometime, and we distribute them. So that's what we are capable of doing, and we can do that. But thank you though, thank you for your questions.
Because I have them who have alone here, elderly people, refugees, elderly people who know have the take care of them. They need emergency hospitalized. outside, but they don't have anybody to support
them.
Now
Yes.
I am talking with another NGO. I send their details to them because I also don't have any budget.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Without any budget, I am doing alone. So
Of course.
Another NGO, for example, the asylum asset, but never reply anymore.
Yeah, well, they also have too many people referring to them. Not only 200,000 Rohingyas. Imagine how many Burmese Muslims would have been. Do you have any estimation? We are talking about 100,000. Would that be a number? 135,000. That's. And you know how many Afghanis? You know how many other Karen, Kachin, and Chin? We have almost 5 million refugees here. 500,000, half a million. Half a million, right? It's the estimation. Now, everybody trying to access asylum access. Everybody trying to get something. It's difficult for everyone to serve as well. Very limited resources everyone have. This is what we understand. Yes, but nevertheless, the problem is not solved. People are suffering. We need to do this one. That means we have the urgency. All of us need to take some time off from our busy life and we can do that. We can do that.
Yes.
A lot of us can make, like Hanif, he was here and he opened his own school now. And he is teaching about 10, 12 children. He's teaching whatever, little life skills he's giving. And, for example, our young man, Arif just now, he bought his young man, he found on the street, he bought them at home and he bought them. He allowed them to stay with him and he says they were going to come here to study as well. So, everybody's doing little things and everybody should do. And also collectively, I would say, join us. Collectively, we can do more to support these vulnerable people. Anybody else anything to say before we go and join spicy food? I warn you, memang spicy. And we also have some options of non. That's why we have all these sweet drinks. If you are burning tongue, come and have that. I think we have 2 dishes which is not spicy, but majority all spicy. And we also have traditional chili sambal paste that everybody hopefully would enjoy as well. So if anybody have no question, we will stop here. Would that be? Yes? Thank you very much everyone, being patient for, it's been almost a long time. How long? An hour? I hope. But let's make a little dua, little prayer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adhaban nar. Ya Allah, we gathered here, some of your people, some of your creations, Ya Allah, to serve others who are in need, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, accept our sacrifices, accept our efforts to make others people's life easier, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, the world is full of conflict, Ya Allah, the world is full of troubles, Ya Allah. Please ease the troubles and ease the problems for others, Ya Allah. Increase our ability to do more, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, put sincerity, ikhlas in our heart, Ya Allah, whatever we do, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, accept those people who came here for the concern, with the concern to serve human beings, to create a society that is livable for human beings and also other creations and living things and non-living things for environment as well, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, increase our knowledge in providing service, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, increase our ability in providing service, Ya Allah. Sallallahu ta'ala khayri khalqi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyina wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amin.